come up that required immediate attention, and we hate to keep people waiting. So for that, we're sorry, and we're going to move through things well. Welcome, all of you. We appreciate you for being here. This is the City Council meeting for the City of South Jordan, and today is Tuesday, December 2nd, 2025. My name is Dawn Ramsey, and I have the privilege of serving as mayor of the City of South Jordan with this outstanding City Council here with me, and Mrs. Johnson will be right in. We also appreciate our staff. We've got the best staff in the state, and we appreciate them. So many of our senior staff being here, and all those who are not here, who work so hard to take good care of our city. We welcome all of you. We love having visitors. We have presenters. We have a lot of students here. We're always happy to see you, so thanks for being here. And anyone who may watch this later or is joining us online. We're going to open our meeting tonight with an invocation by Councilmember Kathy Johnson.
Our dear Heavenly Father, we are so grateful to be able to meet this evening together as a council and as residents of this community. We're grateful that we have thy guidance, and we ask for thee to be with us, to help us to understand the complexities of the city, that we will be able to meet the needs of those who reside and do business here. We ask thee to please bless our staff, and for the many who serve in public service in this community, that they will be kept safe this holiday season, that they will be able to keep our city running, that all will be kept safe, that the city will be able to have a good holiday together as we remember thee. And we especially ask thee to watch over us this evening. In the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. As always, if there's anyone who would ever like to give an invocation or a thought or any kind of an opening thought or invocation for our meeting, we invite you to contact the city recorder. We love hearing from anyone who's interested in doing that. All right, our Pledge of Allegiance tonight, we are going to turn to Don Tingy, Assistant City Manager, and ask Mr. Tingy to please lead the audience in the pledge.
Will the audience please rise and follow me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The audience may be seated.
Thank you, Mr. Tingy. All right, Council, the minutes from our October 7, 2025 Council meeting and study meeting, our October 21st Council meeting and study meeting, and our November 18th Board of Canvassers meeting have been sent out in draft form for review. We've had a chance to read through those. Is there anyone who has changes or updates that they propose to those minutes, or is there a motion to approve the draft minutes?
Mayor, I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes.
Thank you. We have a motion by Mr. McGuire. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Harris. Thank you. Any discussion to the minutes? Seeing none, all in favor of approving the minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Those minutes are approved. Next, we have our mayor and council reports, and for the sake of time, we haven't had a meeting for a little while, and everyone's going to have a big long list. I'm going to ask if we can skip that at this point. Okay.
Yes.
All right, then we're going to move on to item F, our public comment period. This is when we get the chance to hear from you. If you're here and have something you'd like to share with the council, anything you'd like us to be aware of, we would love to hear it. Before I open the public comment period, let me just tell you how it works. We open the floor. If there's anyone here in person that would like to speak, everyone gets 3 minutes to speak. We need you to lead with your name and your address for the public record. And we make a commitment to you of respect. We're not here to have dialogue and answer all the questions, but we want your feedback, and then we'll make sure the right people are in touch and we coordinate and whatever. But we offer you respect, as we're proud of the civil discourse that we have here in South Jordan, and we ask the same in return, because we're all here because we love this city, and we're committed to doing the right thing for our city. And that being said, the time is now yours. If there's anyone that would like to speak for public comment, the time is yours. If you're here for a later item that's listed as a public hearing, the time to speak for that is during that public hearing.
Okay, no one else was gonna do it.
Mr. Newton, it's That's
name is
you.
Chuck Newton. I live at 3236 Cameron Park Court, South Jordan, Utah, which Anna well knows. Number one, congratulations to the mayor and city council members who are reelected. You know that I know how tough it is to run a campaign or a reelection campaign. While you're doing that, which is almost a full-time job, plus serving on the city council, which is more than a half-time job at times, plus doing your own job. It's a killer. Congratulations. And thank you for your past service and your willingness to continue down the path a little while longer. Special thank you. That was a beautiful prayer. Also, I wanted to thank our Economic Development Director who brought back Dunkin' Donuts to the city after they left during COVID. I heard he had to sing a special song, "Baby, Come Back." I can't do it justice, but anyway. And he brought in Jack in the Box, which was great. I love that place, Jack in the Box. Congratulations on our new senior center location. 1,000 times better than the old location. Absolutely. I'm so glad you all moved it there. The passport office, that was such a smart idea. Special thanks to our city manager who put that together and implemented it so dang well. Thanks, Dustin. And as you may know, they've been swamped, according to my information, just constant calls. I'd like to suggest, without Anna shooting me for this, that you go ahead and add a button to the main webpage site to access the calendar for booking that, and change option 6 on the phone message where all other and our staff, change that to passport office and move what's camped on 6 to option 7 on the phone, if I may suggest that. I'd like to thank our Assistant City Manager, Jason Rasmussen, who got my fire hydrant painted for me after been almost 2 decades looking disreputable. I'd like to suggest, they rushed right out that week after I called them and painted it. It looks great, still looks great. I should have been in here like a year ago after that, and I've just been so busy I haven't. That's why a whole bunch of thanks are stacked up tonight. So I'd like to suggest that you may want to consider, as the fire department goes around and does the operation to inspect the hydrants for opening and making sure that they open and we have water when there's a fire, that we add a little button on the GIS or something to inspect all the fire hydrants. So as they inspect each one on a, however they do it, schedule, and check for also, does it look disreputable or does it look good? Let's see, there is one more item. And there's not a public hearing for it, so I just wanted to comment on Fieldstone Homes tonight. They build a quality product, and they've got a great reputation. As they're coming as an HOA, that's up to you all, but you know, they've been problematic. We've had so many problems with so many in the past, and them coming back and saying, hey, we want to be part of the whole city and have you all take care of it. That's a discussion for you all. But I do want to comment, the vinyl fence, we've had a number, particularly on 98th and 3200 West, we've had a number of vinyl fence installs. Yes, I was behind that. That was one of my dumbest mistakes when I was on the city council, because they become problematic as they age. If they're not good quality, there's holes in them, that type of thing. And so, and particularly on the east side of the subject property, the concept plan that's in your packet shows a precast. Definitely, I really think on the east side, due to the wind coming over from the west side, that ought to be precast. Actually, I think all the fence surrounding the perimeter of the subject property should be precast. I'd like to suggest a geotech study. We did that for South Jordan Station when we approved that, came up with a few surprises there. Unless our city engineer thinks that the one from Jordan Station is still good, I think you might want to consider that in your discussion tonight. And garbage collection, a private contractor, that's up to Fieldstone, but I'd like to suggest in the development agreement, I think it's silly, but about having a private contractor. But in the development agreement, as you know, several years ago, before he became assistant city manager, he was the public works director and did a skillful job in negotiating us away from diesel waste management to natural gas waste management. Each truck saves us 872 cars on the road per hour when switching to natural gas. So that helps our pollution down here in the southwest corner of the valley. And we should, if they're going to do private collection in the development agreement, we should require that they're natural gas or electric or some other non-polluting garbage waste management. Thank you very much.
Mr. Newton, thank you. Is there anyone else here that would like to speak during public comment? Okay. Seeing none, we'll close public comment. And we will move on to our presentation item, and we've caught back up for time. We're 2 minutes ahead of time. I just wanted to be clear about that. We have our first presentation item. We're going to turn to our police chief, Jeff Carr, to give us our annual update on our victim advocate services. It's our biannual report, right? Yes. Chief.
Right. Thank you. We partially fund our victim advocates through a grant. The grant requires that we report to you a couple of times a year about their activities. So that's what this report is. You should have it with your materials at your desk. I just wanted to mention that during this period of time from July to December, our victim advocates have helped 435 individuals during that time frame. The vast majority, 42% of that is domestic violence, unfortunately. We have seen an increase in identity theft and fraud. During this period, we helped 85 people with identity theft and fraud situations. Unfortunately as well, about 67 victims were helped in the child abuse area, which is it's tragic that we have that kind of stuff going on in our community, but it does happen. These victim advocates do a great job. They help victims with everything from looking at restitution to making sure what's going on in the court with them, interviews with our law enforcement officers. They really do a fantastic job. And before we had victim advocates, and I've been around long enough to know when there wasn't anything called a victim advocate, a lot of victims fell through the cracks because law enforcement officers just didn't have the time dedicated to be able to help victims all the way through the criminal justice system. So they're very valuable to us. They do a great job. And with that, I'll open it up if you have any questions.
Thank you. Anyone have any questions for the chief? Okay, I don't see any. Thank you. Please thank your team for us, for all the good work they do. I don't love the numbers, but thank you. All right, item H, we have a couple of action items. First, we're going to turn to our fire chief. Well, for both of the item H's, H1 and H2. H1, we have resolution R 2025-53, adopting the International Utah Wildland Urban Interface Code. Chief Dawson.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. Appreciate your time tonight. Have two resolutions for you tonight. We split them up just in case either needs any kind of amendment in the future. We figured this would be best. But in 2025 general legislative session, House Bill 48, which was entitled Wildland Urban Interface Modifications, was passed. And in that legislation, it requires municipalities to adopt the Utah 2006 Wildland Urban Interface, or WUI code, and a corresponding WUI map for respective areas by January 1. You might wonder why it's the 2006 code. That is the latest that the state has adopted. So we are attempting through legislation to get the 2023 version adopted this year, but right now the state has only adopted the 2006. So that's why it is the current and only code that has been adopted by the state. Attached to this is the map itself that we have identified as a department, those areas that we are primarily concerned about that fit a wildland urban interface problem or issue, if you will, within the city. Those areas that we think that the code would most appropriately apply, where we could have some ability to make a difference within our community. There are a couple other things that this legislation did, and I think it's important to bring them up because there have been some questions with this legislation. It requires the Utah Forestry, Fire, and State Lands to create what they call a high-risk WUI boundary, or in other words, their own WUI map, if you will. That is different than what we're adopting tonight. So the city is adopting its own wildland urban interface map that is separate completely from what the state is doing. And the reason I bring that up is because what the state is doing may have some potential financial ramifications for people that fall within high-risk areas in their map. That what we are adopting tonight has no financial impact to our residents whatsoever. Other than to say there may be some implications with construction in new development, things like that, that they'll have to address. But by and large, it really is minimal at best. Really what we're talking about here is the ability to enforce things like defensible space around properties to allow for those properties to be better protected. So I just wanted to draw that difference between there. In these areas, though, ignition-resistant construction is another thing that we'll be looking for. Again, the city is not planning to assess any kind of fees whatsoever with the WUI map that we're proposing tonight. And right now, we don't really understand what, if any, areas inside of South Jordan may be affected by the state's high-risk map. The best I can do is this. So if you can kind of get a sense, let's see if I can do this, kind of our approximate boundaries there. The areas that the state has looked at are what the best they can tell us is based on this map, those that are risk area 7 or higher may fall in their high risk areas. That really only applies to our very far west side. So let me clear this. Learned how to do that tonight.
It's very impressive.
To give you kind of a sense of that, this color there, and there's just a couple of areas like just little tiny dots, if you will, are 7 and higher. So it's just really a small area of our city's west side. The state was supposed to have that map to us by October. We have not yet seen it, so we're still waiting to see what that will turn out. But they are also supposed to ask for local input, so we presume that we will have some ability to affect that. We don't really see anything that would inside of our city other than maybe the very farthest west bench area that may really apply to that high risk area. So I don't think that this is going to impact our residents here. This is the map that we are proposing. You can see we are capturing that the new annexation area out west. That area is really largely undeveloped other than a few mine buildings and such out there. That area just it's rough, it's got a lot of terrain, and really when we looked at what areas we should include, we specifically looked for those areas that were heavily vegetated and had slope, those areas that really where fire could run. So kind of open fields with light grasses, things like that. Those don't really cause a proliferation problem for us and throwing large embers and causing problems. So we've not included those. So there's some areas along Bingham Creek, a little bit in some of the parks, which was off of 40th there, the kind of Lookout Park area, because it fit both of those. It has both slope and vegetation. And then of course our primary concern is that area along the Jordan River. So this is some of those areas there. You can see we've got slope, vegetation, and enough that these things could, we're talking 40, 50 foot tall flame licks that would come off these. And if these are backed by strong winds whatsoever, they present a significant hazard. This is also along the Jordan River, Sterling Village area. You can see how thick that vegetation is up against those homes. So this is an area that quite frankly gives me the most concern in our city. So this is one of the only areas, this and just a few homes along Bingham Creek, that we included inside of the map itself. Otherwise, it's just the open land that we've included in the map. So of course, Bingham Creek, you're all familiar with, and some of the vegetation and homes along that area. This is an area that we do have some concerns. As you look at that, this is obviously taken off season, but when that's full of, from grass and those trees, that vegetation that runs right up to those houses, if there's a fire running that hill, I can say with almost complete certainty, there's 100% chance we're gonna lose those homes. Fires that start on the outside of homes that run in like that, there's almost nothing we can do to stop those from happening. So the best thing we can do is to educate those folks, help them create defensible space and give them a fighting chance, and honestly give us a fighting chance to be able to get in there and stop those fires before they become significantly problematic. Just a couple other areas. This is that Overlook Park area and some of those open areas. Again, what this does is it gives us the ability to go in and require some defensible space. So take in some, lawnmowers or whatever they got to do and trim back against those fences just to prevent that fire from proliferating into those homes. So again, we don't see a major issue here. I think most of the mitigation efforts should be relatively easy and minor, but they are areas that we think are significant. And then why it matters. So this was a few years ago. This was down in the river bottoms, down by the Jordan River. This was a significant fire, chewed up some pretty good acreage. And this actually was off season. As I recall, this was February or March, something like that, before we got any of the new growth. So it was a pretty significant fire. But just to show you defensible space, this is from that fire. You can see on the one side of the fence there, that area that's burned was primarily from the heat and the wind where it was laying those flames over the top of that fence. So it works. It stopped the fire from moving through that area. So this is the type of mitigation efforts that we're looking for by adopting these codes. And then, Matt, could you hit the play button on that one for me? This is just a short video.
Yes, sir. We do have a small fire. It's just south of Marshall Road on Highway 93. We're extinguishing it now. I'll get back to you here in a few minutes.
We need to let folks know to the east of our incident that we now have fire on both sides, and it's pushing east fast. So if we can let all those folks know, probably within a couple miles east, that they need to start evacuating.
This was a small field fire, was wind driven. This was December 30th. Does that stop?
Come on.
Yeah, the fire is going to be moving, obviously, in a eastern direction. Fire's moving through the property, and it's going to be moving into some homes. I'm going to need additional units.
4631 and 2207. 4631 and 2207. Respond to 181 Mohawk Circle. 181 Mohawk Circle. I have a party trapped in their home due to the fire. 1232.
2619.
2619.
Emergency traffic. We're on Cherokee Avenue and Fox Lane. We have multiple houses on fire. We are backing out of here. We are in heavy fire.
Marshall Command.
I understand we have lots of structures burning, and just air, please, for me over the county fire channel. We want all units to operate in a safe area. We don't want them to commit if they can't see and if it's too dangerous, and we're going to try to let the fire burn through and then pick it up on the backside. Also, if they need to move to a safe spot, just have them stage on a roadway, and then after the fire passes through, we'll go to work on suppression. This thing is just running. We probably have 100-mile-an-hour winds up here, and we can't get ahead of it.
These are a couple of photos of the aftermath of that. You can see that fire move through very rapidly. We saw that last year in LA, right? You saw how many structures were burned there, and you can see that Boulder County community looks very similar to our own. And so these are some of the concerns we have. And so what we want to do is give ourselves the best effort to try to protect our residents and ensure that we don't have such a problem, right, in the city. So. With that, open to any questions that you might have.
Thank you. That was a presentation for both resolutions, right?
For both,
Yes,
correct.
that's what I thought. Okay. Just clarifying that. Does anybody have any questions for the chief on?
I have a question.
Yes, please, go ahead.
So seeing that video there and then looking at the map and some of the pictures in your presentation. So by passing this, would this allow a resident who has concerns about maybe property that butts up to their property that's not being maintained to then be able to contact you? And then you can contact the property owner who's not maintaining a defensible area and ask them to then mow whatever needs to happen to make it safer? Or?
Yes, within that 2006 Utah Wildland Urban Interface Code, it gives us the authority, once adopted, to be able to do that very thing, to be able to go in and mitigate some of those things where the standard fire code does not allow us. So we get requests like that periodically throughout the year, and right now we don't have that enforcement authority. So adopting this code does allow us that opportunity by designating these specific areas. So yes.
Thank you.
And do you regularly go through these areas and drop off information to them, or?
Yes, a few
Is it
years ago, we
contact?
started in some of our highest risk areas, our Ready, Set, Go program, where we've gone out to try to educate those folks that are in most danger. And we just go knock doors and actually try to get conversations with them, do face-to-face, interactions. And we've even offered to go in and help them with mitigation and actually take care of some of that, cutting that stuff back and helping them where we can as well. So, and it is something we review annually.
Because we just definitely don't want any to be on the news like that.
Right, yeah, absolutely.
Well, we had a house fire in the city yesterday morning, and the house was a total loss, and
Right.
the cause is still unknown. But, I mean, it was fast.
Yeah, very
It
fast.
happened really fast, and the home was a total loss.
Yeah.
And that was the one home, but we don't want that to happen, and we do have parts of the city where that exact thing could happen.
Yeah, and that was in total loss condition before our first unit arrived.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Go ahead.
What I thought was interesting,
microphone.
what I thought was interesting and tragic is the scene where it showed that the fire jumped over a road. Because you kind of assume that a road is going to, because it's not flammable, stop fires. So in your picture where you have that fence, that metal fence, that truly can be a barrier to some degree?
The fence is not as much. It's actually cutting down the vegetation and
Okay,
keeping that
prior
low
to that
that allows us that ability to prevent that. There are some cases it's difficult. So if we get into areas, again, especially my primary area of concern is easily along the Jordan River. There's just so much thick vegetation through there. Of course, we have the wildland area or the wetland areas, some of that stuff in there. What can happen, especially if it's wind driven, is we get a combination of large flames that then lay over due to the wind, or firebrands. So when the firebrands can travel great distances. I mean, in some cases in these big wildfires, I mean, they'll travel for over half a mile and can start fires half a mile away. So I don't think we have anything inside of our city that's that severe, but we do have them that can absolutely jump roads, jump into neighborhoods. And once a fire starts on the outside of a house, the ability for it to proliferate and auto-extend to multiple houses is rapid. So it's very difficult to stop those.
So, follow-up question, Chief. We have some land on the west side of our city that's been annexed, and we will be putting together a development agreement for that. I mean, I'm sure you will, but please watch closely as we work on that. And because water is an issue, and we're going to be doing some conservation, landscaping, some special things to try and conserve water. This is alarming, and we just need to be very conscientious. Things that we may not know that we hope you'll be aware of, please tell us as a council so that we don't allow or that we prohibit anything that would be a potential risk, right? Where we know that we're going to be in some areas that have lower water usage.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And our plan is for that next fire station to be built out there, that'll be a wildland specialty. So we've actually already ordered a wildland specific engine for that fire station. It's a Type 1.3 that it's capable of doing wildland firefighting as well as commercial structure firefighting. So we are looking ahead of that to to address a lot of those issues. But I will definitely keep you informed as issues arise.
And speak up and educate us.
Will do. Thank you. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
that opportunity.
Yeah, thank you.
Go ahead. Yeah.
So I just want to clarify what we're doing here today. So on the first resolution, adopting the International Utah Wildland Urban Interface Code, that's what the legislature, passed, and we have to adopt that, right?
Correct.
But then on the next resolution, that is where, you and your department have identified, above and beyond, additional areas that are concerned. Am I understanding that right?
The legislation requires us to adopt the code and a map.
Yep.
The map we created based upon our own internal
That's
assessment.
Great.
Yeah.
And then in the WUI areas, as areas, right now it might say, okay, hey, this is an area that's could be problematic. But over time, as areas are developed, then those maps are going to get adjusted as streets and roads and stuff like
Correct.
this. We're not having all this wildland vegetation there. Those over time, we're going to expect those to change as the city develops out. Is that right?
Absolutely. Yeah, we do annual assessments of our fire maps as well as our WUI areas. So we look at these regularly.
Yeah.
And so as we see any need for significant change, I would be coming back to you to adopt a new map.
Yeah, and just another question that I have as well is as development comes in, oftentimes we talk about within the development open space, and this is kind of in line with a little bit with Councilwoman Zander was talking about, as future development. I think there's differences between some of the usable watered parks and stuff like this, and some of the land that's just left open space that still kind of has that wildland vegetative feel to it as well. So is that something that you're keeping your eyes on, within developments that are coming in?
Yeah, absolutely. That's something that we look at in all of these that we're involved in. And it's an issue that we're constantly watching. So what this does is if we are able to pick those up and if it becomes a hazard and we can incorporate that into our WUI area, that gives us certain enforcement opportunities and abilities to basically create. And the biggest thing I think here on new development, for example, is using some fire resistive construction materials as well as techniques to actually prevent those fires from even occurring, to where even if there is an exposure, the likelihood of a house catching or another structure catching on fire is extremely low compared to what a standard construction would do.
Thank you.
You bet.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right, I'm going to ask if there is a motion on Resolution R 2025-53, adopting the International Utah Wildland Urban Interface Code.
Mayor, I'll move that we approve Resolution R 2025-53 as stated.
Thank you. We have a motion by Mrs. Zander. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. McGuire. Any additional discussion to this? Okay, seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that is adopted. H2, we have Resolution R 2025-54, adopting a wildland urban interface map. The presentation just showed us. Is there a motion on this?
Mayor, I'll make a motion that we approve Resolution R 2025-54.
Thank you. We have a motion by Mr. McGuire. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mrs. Johnson. Any additional discussion on that? Okay, seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Map is also approved. Thank you very much, and thanks for making sure that we are fully in line with the new updated legislation to make sure that we're always where we need to be. Thank you. All right, item I, we are going to turn to Mr. Brian Priest, who is our Director of Planning and Economic Development for the Horizon Development Land Use Public Hearing items. The way this goes is we have staff present, and then if the applicant is here, we'll give them some time. A few minutes to go ahead and say anything they'd like, and then we'll open the public hearing, and then we'll come back and chat amongst ourselves. So, Brian, we appreciate you being here. This is a presentation on Resolution R 2025-57 and Zoning Ordinance 2025-02-Z, all related to the Horizon Land Use Development Project, Fieldstone Construction and Management Services, Inc. is the applicant. So, Mr. Priest.
Thank you. Yes, all three of these items are part of this presentation. So So the location of this, of this project is just right across from the Front Runner Station, just down below the Class A office buildings and across the street. It is next to the Jordan Station apartments that are existing. The applicant is the Fieldstone Construction Management Services, property owners SJ Utah Commercial, and the Planning Commission, just as a note, recommended unanimously in favor of this project, all three resolutions, ordinances, and the development agreements. So the current land use is, oftentimes we have to change the land use. This one is already currently MU TOD, so mixed use transit-oriented development, and it lies within our station area plan that we adopted recently. Project is currently zoned CF commercial. The request is to rezone it to RM and with a PDO overlay zone. So that's residential, multifamily, and planned development overlay zone. The project proposal consists of 33 townhome for sale units on 2.5 acres. They will be accessed by a private drive to the accessed through a private drive that they have an easement over. We'll have a secondary access in this area that will be gated and will just be fire alone. They've negotiated that with the building owner to the east. So they have a secondary access. And there'll be 2-car garages on all units. Some will be front-loaded, some will be rear-loaded. Councilmember McGuire did ask a question about the 19 by 19 rather than our standard 20 by 20. This, if approved, this development agreement would lower that. I'm going to let them explain more what their reasoning is behind that. The development agreement basically will set standards and include provisions for the architecture, amenities, and circulation. The highlights are the project will be constructed in accordance with the concept plan and elevations attached to the agreement. Fencing will be installed as shown in the concept plan with no fencing along the south boundary. That's the boundary that's along the existing apartments. Landscaping will feature grassy open area, a dog park, and natural open space on the east end. Roads and access points and parking areas will be developed consistent with the concept plan. And you may consider adding any additional provisions to this that you'd like. The roads would be private. There'd be about 14 visitor spaces. And as we said, there'll be a dog park, which will be relocated. There's already a dog park on there for the apartments. It'll be relocated. And then some, let's see here. This area, right? Let's see, how do you erase all that? There we go, clear. So there's a play area in this area, and there's a dog park down here, with this area being natural open space, which is part of the area that the chief was just talking about, that would have to, those regulations you just adopted would apply to this development. This will come through a site plan approval, and we'll look at that even closer when that happens. Let's see here. It's as I said, it's in the front runner station area plan. It meets goals of that plan. Expanding housing options and affordability, including moderate income housing, promoting sustainable environmental practices, improving access to employment, education, recreation, and commercial opportunities, and increased transportation choices and connectivity. It also meets several of our general plan and strategic priorities that were listed in your staff report. City Council, staff is recommending approval of the development agreement and the zone change. And with that, see if you have any questions for me before. I guess you don't, because we'll come back. These are the These are the, but anyway, these are the proposed elevations for the homes in the area. So like I said, some will be backloaded, some will be front-loaded. They'll be stepped up the mountainside. I think at the end, okay, yeah, this is a representation. It'll show how where they will be much lower than the apartments to the south, and they will step up the mountain. There is a very large amount of undocumented fill that was moved over onto this property from the building of these apartments. That will all have to be removed. Kind of comes like this. They'll have to kind of dish it out to get rid of all of that. We'll definitely look at the geotechnical work as Mr. Newton had recommended, and then they'll be building those on solid ground. So anyway.
Okay, thank you. We'll come back for questions after. Appreciate it so much. Okay, we're going to invite representatives from Fieldstone Construction and Management Services. If you'd like to come up and say anything before the public hearing, we'd love to hear from you.
Well, thank you. It's good to see you again, Council. Staff has been fantastic. I don't see Demir here tonight, but you guys got to keep that guy around. He's fantastic. We're excited about this project, and Brian's covered a lot of the details. That this was a place they dumped a whole bunch of excess material from when they built the Jordan Station apartments, and in order to make this site work, that kind of needs to be hauled off or do really deep pier foundations, right? And that's even more expensive. So we tried to find a solution that could work with that, and we've designed the buildings such that the front load ones have walkout basements, and the building is doing like the retaining wall. And then our rear load ones are garage in the basement, front door into the main level. Again, the building does the retaining, so we're using the buildings to step down. Oh, hit the microphone, sorry. So we are excited about that. Yes, the development agreement does talk about a 19 by 19 garage. So typically our 3-story units that we've built is a single car garage with tandem parking. And for this project, we widened that a little bit to get in a 2-car garage door. We still have the extra depth, so there's room, there's storage space and things in the garage in that bottom level. But it is a little narrower than a typical 2-car garage. Still would fit 2 cars, maybe not 2 big trucks, but so yeah, that's what you see. And then our front load units, they have larger garages. We only indicated the minimum in the development agreement to cover those narrower, the 3-story units that we build. I'm trying to think of any other details, and I am happy to answer any questions. We think this will be a fantastic project. It will look great. It'll stagger down that hill. The western views will be fantastic. I have worked with Wildland Urban Interface before. We've done it in Lehigh and had to deal. We were building in Traverse Mountain up the canyon, and we were up against it. So we understand that. Our engineers understand that, and we'll work with the fire department and make sure that it's done just right.
We'll come back if we have any questions, because what we like to do is have staff present and the applicant say whatever they'd like. Then we open it to the public for a public hearing. Then we'll come back to the council after they've heard from everyone. Yeah. And then we'll come back with their questions. So if you don't mind just kind of hanging out by Mr. Priest for a minute, we'll do our public hearing, and then whoever has questions, we'll call you back up.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it. All right. I'm now going to open the public hearing on Resolution R 2025-57, which is the Horizon Development Land Use amendments, this project that's been discussed. And same thing as our public comment period, but very specific to this. If you're here and would like to speak to this, you're invited to come up, give us your name and address. We give you 3 minutes. We're all going to play nice and speak nicely to each other. And if you'd like to talk about this, the time is now yours. Okay, I'm not seeing anyone, so we'll close the public hearing and we'll turn to the council, see if you have any questions for any of the folks that are here, the applicant or Mr. Priest. Please, go ahead.
Mr. Priest or staff, I appreciate Mr. McGuire bringing up the fact of the 19 by 19 garage. We have a development in our city that struggles atrociously with parking. Rushton Meadows, remember that southern end of that area?
Very much so.
Does anybody remember what the size of those garages were so we don't repeat that problem?
I don't know. That was quite some time ago.
I was actually wondering the same thing, and I'm also wondering about the width of the streets. These are narrower than standard city width streets, 26-foot private streets.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of
Parking is
those
probably
too.
the biggest issue staff had with this project.
Mayor?
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt, Councilwoman Zander, but ties in. And, you know, saying concern with the parking, that with the Daybreak community, we had to go back at some point and clarify that they would build a minimum size garage to fit 2 vehicles and the garbage cans, and that nothing could come into the actual parking area, that it has to be unobstructed. And so that's why I was wondering also what kind of,
These streets would not be allowed to have parking along the streets.
well,
There'd
the
be, you know,
streets, but also just, I understand you say the 19 by 19 is big enough for 2 cars, but are we talking 2 Fiats? Are we talking 2 sedans? Are we talking a standard crossover?
Yeah, you're not going to fit a F-250 in there. You might squeeze an F-150 in there. And I've owned both.
Could you pull up the slide that shows the plat map? Where you circled the 2, not that one, but the one that was the topographical one? Okay, thank you. I just don't want to repeat anything that we've got that's problematic in our city. And I know in Founders Park and Daybreak, things have been improved since then. There were some units that had tiny garages. But the good news here is we do have this public parking areas by that grass play area. And the other good news is we have some driveways. Now, just remind me, it's been a few weeks since we talked about this last. Do those driveways, could they fit a car? Because that helps.
No.
No. Okay.
And those were concerns that we expressed, and we
Okay.
we
If
knew.
I remember the applicant correctly, the garage side extends, so you could have 2 cars front and back. Is that not correct?
Correct?
No.
No? Tandem? Well, that's what I mean. So it's not perfect, but it's an extended garage in depth, which most people put their extra stuff in. But,
so sorry, I need just clarification. So at 19 by 19, it's still tandem depth? I thought it would have to be like
Almost
19 by 38 or something.
well, probably one side.
Yeah. I guess we just gave 2 dimensions. So in our plan, if I just write on this, will it draw? So the narrower units, which are these ones, and these. So these are the ones so they have a 19-foot wide garage. It's actually quite a bit deeper than 19.
How much
And-
deeper?
I don't have a plan in front of me, but it's 36 feet or something. Like it's really deep. Like it's tandem. In the other plan, we designed them, you parked cars front to back, 2 of them. We intentionally widened it to try and improve the parking condition on this project. But we're also running out of room, as you can see, right? Like it's quite tight. So there is quite a bit of additional depth. And then, yeah, there's quite a bit of additional depth in those narrow units. And then the other units have a more standard garage. I don't know the dimensions off the top of my head, but like 22 by 24 is common.
So the narrow ones have the extension.
Right.
And so all of these, even, it might be tandem, but all of them can have 2 cars in them
They can, yes.
comfortably.
Not 2 F-250s, like he said.
Yeah, well-
But yes, yeah.
So the confusion really just comes over the wording that's in the development agreement. I believe it showed 19 by 19. And
Yeah, and if there was a condition of approval that we adjust that development agreement to say, I can go back and look at what it actually is, we can do that. And you can see on this plan, everything that's red, all the curb lines that are red, that's no parking, right? So there is no street parking with the exception of, we have room for a few cars on the one side of that center lane. And that's just the fire access rules on a 26-foot wide lane. You can park on one side only. And so we fit a couple parallel stalls just to kind of help improve that. But really wanted to get 2 parking spaces for every unit plus these guest spaces.
Mayor?
Yeah, go ahead.
Could we have staff verify those numbers? I appreciate you bringing that up, but before I would vote to approve this, I'd like to know that that is what the agreement says, is that it would be 19 by, like you're saying, 30 or something.
Madam
I-
Mayor?
Could somebody look that up and
Yeah,
get it?
so what the current development agreement says, it's on page 4 or section 10 of the agreement. It says, it shall be configured as shown on the concept plan. Each unit will include a private two-car garage. If you want to do what we've done in the past, approve pending final approval by city manager, city attorney, we can reflect what has been represented here, that they're at least 19 by 36 or the standard 22 by 24, or somewhere in there that planning staff is comfortable that that's a two-car garage. We can do that, amend this language and bring it back. I mean, right now it does show include a private two-car garage, but it doesn't have the specification. It does say on concept plan.
Was it on the concept plan where it showed
The concept plan.
thought somewhere
There's, I
specifically
think there's,
said
a- there's,
19 by 19.
in the development agreement, there's,
Yeah.
I think there are bullet points that kind of follow the code, and one of
Well, the
those.
development agreement doesn't have the sides, it's in the
Reference that.
concept plan, and it does show 19 by 19, but 19 by 19 isn't necessarily a two-car garage.
Yeah, that is
What
it
has been
says in the
explained
development agreement
here.
Right here, yeah.
It needs to be changed.
So for scale, like a typical parking space.
Oh, over
is
here on
9
3.
by 18.
Yeah, it's right over here.
So 18 by 18 is 2 parking spaces. Not at Costco, they do bigger parking spaces, but at Target or, but yeah, 9 by 18 is a typical parking space. Or like I said, for 2, 18 by 18. So it's for scale, just to help you kind of feel that it's tight. I agree it's tight, but it is doable.
tight, and this is the kind of thing that we get people that come back so upset a lot about things that we weren't here to approve, but
Right.
it's not enough parking, it's not enough width, what's wrong with you people? Why did you approve this? Because they buy into it and they're like, wait, my quality of life, I don't have enough room, I don't have, and my family can't come to our birthday party, and we've heard it all. We've heard
Right.
that from a lot of folks over the years that we've been here, and so that's the reason for the questions. We just want to make sure
Yeah.
that the quality of life people anticipate we're approving is actual, that's all. We just want to make sure. Because a lot of times people, maybe, they get excited, they buy into something, they don't fully think through all those things, and then they come back and it's our fault. And we just want to make sure that we're aware of those things up front and trying to make sure that we're mitigating some of the concerns that people could have after the fact.
We would be happy to even put in our seller disclosures for any buyer. We right in there. These garages are sized smaller than a typical garage, verify. So we're happy to do things like that, and we understand this is atypical, and that is a hard thing. Go ahead.
Make another comment? I think the other thing that we struggle with is your point of 9 by 18 is a parking stall. That's fair, but those parking stalls don't have to put a garbage can in the garage.
Right.
And that's where we have a big struggle, is we have communities that build a very tight garage, but then the residents have to park 2 cans in it, a recycle and a regular garbage can. So once they park those 2 cans, as you can imagine, you can't fit a car in anymore. So that's our concern, is we've had so many people over the years just come and be upset.
Lament, there's nowhere to put
Lament,
my toddler's bike in there, and I
Yeah.
can't fit the garbage
So-
cans,
Yeah.
they just do.
I wish I had the building plans with me right now. I could pull up that depth, and I threw out a number, what I think it is, but I'm not looking at them. But I think that's something we could easily adjust in the development agreement, and I will say, this is my problem, not your problem.
Until it's built.
I have to close on this
And
land.
it will be our problem forever.
We have to close on this land on December 15th. And so if we don't get our approval tonight, we have to seek an extension from the seller, and if he won't give it, then the project will die. That's my problem. So I do have some anxiety about that, and that's why I ask if you can you can approve with conditions, that goes a long way to help a project go.
So how long do you believe those garages are? So they're 19 by,
I think they're 30-plus feet in depth.
Could we call a friend?
Call-
Or why don't,
Yeah.
why don't we just do this, though? I agree with, what is your name?
On the prominence plan.
Mr. Luce. I thought of lots of titles for him really quickly.
Bring him up.
Bring-
Bring him up.
Yeah.
Well, I was
But
gonna
we
have him
could
call somebody,
say,
but
Under parking, we could, shall be configured exactly what it says, but leave the city attorney or the city manager to confirm that they get the details specifically in there that were requested.
so is there a minimum depth? So say it was 20, if I could promise that it was 24, is that good enough?
I think we just need to know what it is. What is it that you're planning?
Well, we'll make it whatever you need to approve it.
So what was represented was 19 by 36, or for the two car, 22 by 24. That's what was said as I wrote it down. But whatever you represent that the council feels good, we can amend that. And I found where it says under B here, 3B, garage and building minimum 19 by 19, which everybody agrees doesn't fit too.
Sir, if you mistakenly stated something correctly, now's the time to clear it up and tell us
Yeah.
what it is.
I don't know what the 30, I don't know for a fact that 36 feet is the depth.
Okay.
That's off the cuff. I need to look at the
But
house.
this gentleman
plans.
here next to you seems like he knows something, so.
This guy knows. This is Jared Payne with Field Sun.
Yeah, I think for that section, could we change it to 19 by 24 as the minimum versus the 19 by 19?
Well,
Because
No,
all of
because
them
then it
are,
wouldn't be tandem if it's only 24.
well, but just for that I mean, we'll build tandems. These ones will have,
We'll build them,
but only one side's tandem.
So you're
but-
saying instead of 22 by 24, 19 by 24?
Yeah, 19 by 24.
And then the other one?
For that section of the
yeah,
development.
yeah,
agreement.
the width is where we're constrained. It's not in the depth. I know we
That
have.
section's under architecture. Not sure why we have two sections doing this, but Greg did this. For the parking, so the parking section just says a private two-car garage. This says minimum 19 by 19. What's the total we can either do a minimum total square feet, or what is it? I mean, it sounds like the council is looking at something 22 by 24 or 19 by depth, whatever that depth is.
Suggestion?
Yes, please.
May we just change the language on the ones that are 19 cross?
Yeah.
And you guys get together and add in on the tandem part, the depth on that. But at this meeting, we all know that there's a tandem, tandem section.
So tandem 19 by
So-
what we come up with.
It was originally designed as a one-car garage tandem.
But it's a two-car.
So it's been widened to a two-car, but there still is this staircase in there. And I think we've lost the tandem, but we have at least half of it still there because of how the front doors changed and just how the architecture changed for this project. So I don't think I have the full tandem length. I'm not for sure. I need to look at the plan, but I know that I have more than 19 feet. Like, I know that I can get 24. I think it's over 30.
Deep or wide?
Deep. That's deep. But wide, I'm constrained.
Okay, so
By the
19
width
is
of
the
the units.
max on the width.
Yes.
And deep, you can go 24 to 36 or 38.
It's in that range, yeah. I wish I had it here
You
with
have
me.
a stairway that's gonna make one side shorter.
Yeah, there's a stairway
So
that's,
you've got one side that could be deeper.
Yeah.
So it would allow for garbage cans.
Garbage cans and a couple of bikes.
oh, and bikes, and it actually feels really big.
so I just did a quick calculation. The other garages are 20 by 24, is that right?
I believe so, yeah. Again, I don't have the architecture
20
plans.
by 24 or 22? That 22 by 24 is what I wrote down.
Oh, they're
when we were
22 by 24.
That's even better.
Okay, well.
22 by
and-
24 or
and so if we went to 25 feet deep, we would essentially match the square footage in the other garage. And I think, you know, we can choose to pick a number that's kind of random because they don't actually know what the number is. Or we can direct the planning staff to ensure that it's at least at a certain
Yeah, if we could,
level.
I like
you
it
know.
not being arbitrary. I like there being a rationale behind it, because we aren't, so we're not actually the kind of city council that's like, yeah, you can't, you know, whatever. No, we just want to know, because this is private streets, which we don't do much anymore. We have had a lot of problems with things like this in the past, and so we're trying to eliminate some of those maybe mistakes that were made in the past. Not saying you're bringing mistakes, just things we've lived through, and we're just asking for clarification so we better understand that those things have been mitigated. That's all this is.
Could we table this for a little later in the meeting?
I think that's a great idea.
So that they have a chance to go get some
If that's okay,
information?
we'll just, we'll do our next, hold on, I am not on the right page at all. I'm looking at the development agreement.
I think
Well,
you just want to make a.
Can I make a couple comments too, just
Yeah.
to give them something to think about too? A question I have, so when I look at units 16, 17, 18, 19, it looks like there's some more space down at the bottom. And I'm just wondering, I want to have as few narrow garages as possible, you know, and I'm just wondering if we can't make those, you know, looks like there's a little bit more space down below, because unit 25 on the other side goes down. I'm just wondering if we can make those with wider garages, those 4 units.
so the width on those units is actually controlled by the grade separation, because we have to remove all of that fill material. We're sitting quite a bit lower than the grade of the apartments. I already need a retaining wall in there, and the closer I get to it, the bigger retaining wall. Along with that, there is a city storm pipe and easement running along that south boundary. So basically, as I say, I'm constrained. And to do that, that would become a different unit than all the rest in the project, because it's the basement garage unit and not the other. So I can commit to a depth. I don't know the exact number, but if you want me to commit on the narrow units, the 19-foot wide, that it's a minimum of 24, I could commit that. If you want it to be 20, if you wanted like an exact number.
To be tandem, wouldn't we have to be at least 36 feet? What am
Well-
I missing on this step? That we're 19 feet wide,
We're not
we're
doing
stacking
tandem.
2
He
cars.
said
Yeah.
that the tandem isn't gonna be. a
This
single-
started as a tandem. We widened
So
it and
then
made
it's
the
a
2-car.
one-car garage.
It's a
been widened
2-car.
to a 2-car type.
But it does have extra depth. It just doesn't have, I don't
Yeah.
know if it has the full depth.
Okay, because I know that your colleague went to make a phone call too, and we want to get this right.
Yeah,
We
no,
wanna-
I appreciate
we
that.
really
I
wanna
appreciate
get
you
that
working
right.
with us. Let
So
me-
I'm gonna ask for a motion to table this,
Just during the meeting.
just during this meeting, and we'll come back to it, in just a few minutes.
That's
with-
wonderful.
with
Yeah,
more
let me see
information.
what I can,
All right,
we
can I
can
get a
wrestle.
motion to table this until we do the next couple of items in the meeting? We'll come back to it.
Madam Mayor, I move that we table this item until you reopen it.
I'll second.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right, all in favor of tabling this and coming back to it in a little bit, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay. I do want to make a quick offer to any of the students that are here. We usually have a few of the students that stay for the whole entire meeting, and we offer to take a picture with you, which tends to get some really good credit with your teacher after the meeting, if you want to stick around to the end. If you don't want to, you don't have to. But if you stick around to the end, they usually take a picture and turn that in with their assignment, and it
Carries
is-
weight.
It's not a bad thing. So anyway, that's just an offer that we're making to anybody who's interested.
We're not promising.
Yeah, you don't have to stay. If you're like, we don't want our picture with you, that's fine, but we might get you some points with the teacher, so there's that. Anyway, okay, we are going to move on to item J, right? All of I was one. So we're gonna move to item J, the Public Infrastructure District, Downtown Daybreak Public Hearing. The public hearing is regarding the proposed creation of the Downtown Daybreak Public Infrastructure District Number 1, the proposed district, and to allow for public input on whether the requested service are needed in the area of the proposed district, and 2, whether the service should be provided by the city or the proposed district, and 3, all other matters relating to the proposed district. We're going to turn back to Mr. Priest to start this.
Thank you. This is, as we said last meeting, we would continue the item that was before you that was a non-vote, which is similar to what we'll have a little bit later. We have a petition before us. We, as the can't even think of the name of well, we have a little group, our little committee. You remember, Don, what's our, at the DAC or something? Anyway, our committee that consists of myself, Don, Sunil, and Ryan and Dustin. We had reviewed the petition, or the letter of intent, and found that it met the intent of what we thought. We moved it forward to you 2 weeks ago. Now we have the actual petition and the governing documents, which need to be adopted by a resolution after a public hearing. It's going to create a public infrastructure district. There are several of these around the state. What I think I'll do is, rather than repeat everything I said last time, I'm going to let Mr. Cannon from Larry H. Miller Real Estate come up, and he's got a presentation on exactly what it'll do, if that's okay, and then I can answer any questions on the PID. So.
Yep, great. All right, Mr. Cannon, we're going to turn to you.
He has a map that'll show you the area.
Hello, David Cannon, again with Larry H. Miller Real Estate in Daybreak, 9350 South, 150 East, Suite 800 in Sandy. That is my business address. But a resident, thank you. Mayor, members of the council, staff, thank you for your support and partnership in this project. We appreciate the good things and big things that we're doing together. The presentation is up. So this is obviously a dated image now. This is a past summer image of a concert in downtown and the fun and energy that we experienced there. It's all a lot different today. Obviously, it's ice skating and Christmas music and holiday lights rather than summer concerts. But there's always something fun there, and that's a tribute to those that came before us, to those of you here, and to the staff and the good work that we've done together in creating a framework to create a new downtown for this part of the city and for this part of the region that can be a gathering place, a place for commerce, for recreation, for fun and education. And we're really proud of what we're building together and appreciative of all the great work by all of you here tonight. Before we jump into what's coming, I'd like to just highlight some of the really cool stuff that's happened. You've seen some of these stats before, but we've had a great start to what Downtown Daybreak is, with baseball, movies, other events, concert attendees, 8 exciting tenants, including great local businesses and restaurants. And the thing that's interesting is that we're drawing a lot of visitors from well outside of a 30-mile radius of this area. So we're bringing into the area, into the city, outside dollars and sales tax revenue to help support growth. And it's exciting what's coming. And that's just the first phase of up to 200 acres of urban scale development in downtown Daybreak. And this map and these renderings just share a sampling of some of the exciting things that will be coming in future phases, which will include additional retail, more for sale and for rent housing, a museum, a district parking garage to serve this entertainment district, a hotel, and then the Larry H. and Gail Miller Arts Center in conjunction with South Jordan City and Salt Lake County, which we're really excited about. And this is very exciting. It's also a very expensive form of development to do these parking garages. And so the PID we're talking about here tonight helps support this scale of development. So again, the proposed Downtown Daybreak Public Infrastructure District, number one, is an important tool that helps with the community and economic development that we're all trying to achieve here. It helps realize the shared vision that's existed for 20 plus years for an urban center within the Daybreak Master Plan development. We believe it's very consistent with the Utah legislature's creation of the legislation for PIDs back from 2019 in an information website from the state where they talk about PIDs and their purpose. It cites these two factors I think tie in very, very well with what we're doing here. PIDs are intended to facilitate the development of infrastructure for public benefit. We're truly doing that with roads, infrastructure, sewer, public parking garages, and all the things that go along with building a new urban center. And that PIDs are also useful tools for local government entities to better leverage their existing resources in pursuit of delivering more or better services to their residents We think that's truly what downtown Daybreak can be for the citizens of South Jordan and beyond, that this delivers more and better services. What the PID really can do is that can help us as a developer create a structure whereby we can monetize already granted revenues through our HTRZ, through CRA and other potential sources that we have, and put those into this PID that we can then bond against. There's significant upfront cost in terms of parking structures and infrastructure that we need to build today, and this PID is a tool that allows us to do that quicker to deliver this scale of services. This proposed PID only impacts properties that we own within our various different entities and affiliates, no one else. It's self-imposed, and in this PID, we're not proposing any mill levy at all. It's just using those already existing sources. This is a simple table from our bond advisors at Piper Sandler, just a sampling of a number of PIDs that have been done in the state of Utah, across the state. And so it's a proven economic development tool. This isn't new, we're not pioneering. It's been well accepted and done successfully, including on residential, and again with mill levy. This is not that. This is solely on commercially owned properties by our affiliates and without a mill levy. This is a simple map from our petition that identifies the 30 or so acres that are included within the initial boundary of this PID. Number one, it's around 30 acres, as I said. It's roughly the first phases of downtown Daybreak, Lake Avenue, through the ballpark, Granville to Ballpark Way, or Ballpark Drive, excuse me. And again, all those parcels within that are owned by our affiliate companies. And then this last map is just a high-level view of both in the orange color, the boundaries of PID number one, and then in the white areas, that would be potential annexation areas that could be annexed at a future date into this PID to allow for economic development, to include those parcels in there as well. Again, all those parcels owned by our affiliates, and there's no intent of annexing into this PID any for-sale housing that would be encumbered by this PID. So that's the few short slides and information to share tonight. We're appreciative of the support and partnership in making downtown a wonderful place for families, citizens, and guests to come and gather and have a good time. So happy to take any questions or give it back to Brian Priest.
Thank you. We'll come back for questions after the public hearing. Mr. Priest, if you have any more? Yeah, you're welcome to, if you have anything additional to add to that before the public hearing? I do not. Okay, great. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right, I'm now going to open the public hearing on Resolution R 2025-64. No, yes. Providing for the creation of Downtown Daybreak Public Infrastructure District Number 1. The district as an independent district, authorizing and approving a government document, appointing a board of trustees, authorizing other documents in connection therewith, and related matters. Is there anyone here that would like to speak to this? Okay. Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing and turn to the council and see what questions you may have for Mr. Priest or Mr. Cannon or anyone else. Go ahead.
I have questions, probably for Mr. Cannon, I imagine.
Okay. Yeah, David, if you don't mind coming back up, thank you.
So, can you help me understand how this PID facilitates your being able to go out to the bond market above and beyond what the HTRZ is already doing?
Yeah, so I'm not an expert in public finance, but I know enough to be dangerous. How's that? Councilmember Shelton.
Let's be dangerous.
So what the HTRZ does is it grants, as you know, a portion of the property tax increment created by development to be given back to development to help support the scale of development that HTRZ is intended to deliver, housing and transit. But really what that means is we have to do a lot of structured parking within the development. So think expensive parking garages with apartments above it, like we're building on the Pennant, the apartment building immediately in Wright Field. And what the what the HTRZ, it's a fantastic tool the state created. We're grateful that we worked together. We're successful in getting an HTRZ approved here. But what it does is it gives us that increment of property taxes over a 25-year period. The challenge is the costs are all today. You have to build the parking today and then wait for 25 years to receive those revenues. What the PID allows us to do is we pledge all those future HTRZ revenues to this PID. They're obligated to this PID, and then using public bonding, public finance, we can go out and bond today by pledging those revenues against those bonds, and it allows us to borrow at a lower cost for that. So the heavy costs of the HTRZ and structured parking are today, the revenues over 25 years. Rather than waiting those 25 years, we can bond against those today, have that money to help deliver this infrastructure needed now.
And so without the PID, you couldn't go to the bond market?
You'd be doing more traditional real estate financing from a bank or credit union versus public finance. By doing this, it allows us to, rather than looking project by project, we can look at a district level and do aggregated parking in pockets. We can be a little bit more flexible in the way that we sprinkle the parking within the district in the right locations versus doing individual project financing.
Sure. But so the HTRZ, you're pledging the revenue from the HTRZ
Yep.
to the PID, and the PID's going to the bond market.
Correct.
But you have the revenue, the future revenue from the HTRZ already, and you can't take that revenue and go
They
to the
don't have
bond
it already.
market.
That's the problem.
Yeah, the HTRZ revenues have to be created. It's post-performance type increment, so we only create increment by delivering it. You only deliver it by spending the money, so the bonding helps us do that. And the other benefit, Donna, it's a good question, is we get municipal finance rates generally as long as we meet the conditions, so it's tax exempt bonds for those that choose to invest in those bonds, and so you can borrow at a lower rate
Sure.
for that as well. So that's another benefit of using the PID structure.
Okay, I'm just trying to understand why we have to have
Yeah.
two tools, or
Just to add to, he's done a very good job, but just to add, it's similar to what we did with the district, with the RDA, where instead the city went out and got a bond and against the future revenues and then paid off the bond. That's exactly what they're doing. This creates a separate governmental entity, has its own board, and so that it's not tied to us. And then they can go and, as that governmental entity, they can go out and they can take advantage of the municipal bond rates and those things, and then monetize the future payments from that HTRZ in that bond, spend that money, and then pay it back over time. Does that help?
I surrender.
I'd like to see if we could put back up on the presentation, the list, just a list of some of the examples of other PIDs across the state, because there were some projects on there that this one, yeah, that I didn't realize were developed using that. Some of them I did, some of them I didn't. I didn't realize in Provo that to build the medical school campus, there's a PID to help with the infrastructure to put in the medical school campus. Black Desert, I know they've done a lot of public-private financing there to build Black Desert down in Ivins, but some of this information is new for me. So I appreciated seeing, it's not a comprehensive list, it's not a full list of all of them, but it is a sampling of some of them. And to me, it does illustrate that this is a tool that's being used across the state to help get projects done.
I'm glad
Go
you
ahead.
brought this up. Could you explain, Mr. Cannon, the mill rate, the mill levy, PID, like these three columns of numbers, could you give us a simple explanation of what is it we're seeing in the various numbers?
Yeah, so city, county is obvious, first column.
Right,
The
right.
second column is the mill rate. So that's the base countywide or that jurisdiction's base property tax rate.
Got it, okay.
So 8.8 mils is 0.088% on assessed value annually in property tax.
In that county?
in that county.
Okay.
So then obviously the name of the PID, and as the mayor pointed out, well, a well-accepted tool, well used across the state on both residential areas that need heavy infrastructure, but also for commercial. And then the next column is the PID mill levy rate. So that's the additional or surplus property tax that's self-imposed within the district that they've added to that. And then the final column is the total of those. By state law, you can add 15 mills as a maximum, 1.5% on top of the base county rate. And so it's the base mill rate, the additional through the PID, and then the total
So
mill
as we
rate.
look at this ranging on the PID mill levy column, 3.0, and it goes all the way to 15,
Correct.
where would yours fall?
So we're actually doing zero. So again, in this PID, we're not doing any additional mill levy. We made that commitment to the council in our work session, that we are only working through other existing tools like the HTRZ. So we're not doing any additional mill levy.
Imagine we have 100 residents listening in. Tell us why that's a really significant thing.
Well, one, it helps bring the right retailers and users that we want because they don't then have additional property tax, perhaps. For a residential type development, there's all sorts of disclosure requirements and so forth, but sometimes there still is some sticker shock for homeowners when they buy a house that's got PID, additional property tax on it. But
Okay, so again, another follow-up question. Looking at Eagle Mountain Firefly, I'm familiar with that development. This PID mill levy of 3.0, those residents in that area would be paying that addition.
correct.
And in your PID that you're creating,
That we're creating.
we're creating, sorry.
Good
It's
clarification.
a zero.
Zero.
That's
Yeah.
significant. The other thing, if I could, Mayor, I have one more follow-up question.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to restate what you said, that you have one PID. You showed a map of other potential areas that could be annexed into the PID. That one, perfect, thank you. But you pledged or stated that none of this PID would have for-sale housing.
Correct.
So no residents are going to buy into or be surprised by a PID that they start to pay on their
Correct.
property taxes. I think
Correct.
that's significant, and I want to thank you
And it's a
for that.
condition that we put on this. It is a
I love
condition that
that.
we said, we're not doing it on
Now,
residential.
I don't want to be anti-PID because I do think as Utah grows and
Yeah.
we have to grow in new areas that lack infrastructure, PIDs can be a viable
Absolutely.
tool that can help support that growth. But fortunately, we've got other tools that we can use thanks to our partnership here that can allow us to do this PID without pledging additional mill levy.
Thank you.
I have a question, Mr. Cannon. The area one, the PID number one boundary, and then the additional annexation areas. Would you look at just doing another separate PID? It's called annexation area, and we've discussed this. But would you do it? Would that have to come back to the council? I don't think it does. I think to annex something into it, that's just a decision that the PID board would make and just
Yeah.
add additional land
Yeah.
to it. Would you do that?
I'd probably defer to legal, but with this approval, I believe that yes, anything within that annexation boundary, if a property owner consents, they can be annexed into that PID and be included in this PID without further council action.
And the request tonight, just because I want people who are hearing to understand, is the entire area, not just the orange shaded area. Is that right?
Correct.
Anyone have any other questions, comments? Mr. Luce, do you have anything for us? You look like you got something.
That's how I read it, is that the annexation, you're approving the ability to annex without coming back. The one point of clarification I would have is, Mr. Ken, didn't you say that the initial boundary was 30 acres, and that's what you're showing here?
Correct.
The governing document draft that we have says 0.153 acres, and so
Yeah, so
we would need to make sure
we'll need to
that's-
correct that. Yeah.
So any approval we'd have to make, give, like we discussed before, a little bit of latitude for city attorney, city manager to refine those things within what the council's intent was. Because you don't have that before you right now.
And just as a point of clarification, I brought up in my email to you about the
Yeah,
county
there's
reference.
there's a
that-
wrong
We've
county
referenced wrong.
that I totally missed.
Thank you for the sharp
I'll
eye.
own that.
That's why we're making my
Jason,
notes.
Jason's the good reader on that
That's
one,
right.
yes. Councilman.
Jason was up
We,
late
we
reading
can,
this
yeah,
last
we can
night.
turn it into Summit County. I mean, it may not do you any good.
Councilman McGuire, sorry.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you. All right. I'm going to ask if there is a motion. Go ahead.
Did we do the public hearing already on this? Yep, we're good, okay, okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep, and we'll have additional time for any other questions or comments,
Okay,
if there's a motion. Yeah, or unless, do you have anything to share now, please?
No, okay.
Okay. I'm going to ask if there is a motion on Resolution R 2025-64, providing for the creation of Downtown Daybreak Public Infrastructure District Number 1, the district as an independent district authorizing and approving a governing document, appointing a board of trustees, authorizing other documents in connection therewith, and related matters. Is there a motion on that?
Madam Mayor, I'll move that we approve Resolution 2025-64. As you have stated, do we need to provide instruction to correct the problems in the document, the PID document?
Do we need to provide
Do we need,
Correction of the
on the
acreage.
motion?
The acreage.
Yeah,
acreage and Summit?
So I would say acreage and then technical cleanups, because I want to make sure we have the ability, like the Summit County reference, if there's other references that are non-substantive. I think the acreage for 30 acres of initial is substantive.
Yeah.
The other ones would be non-substantive, and there might be other ones that we gotta just clean up.
So I would refer to it as the PID governing document, is that what I would
Yeah.
refer to it?
I would say with the amendment of the PID govern document to include an initial district boundary of 30 acres and other technical, non-substantive cleanup.
Okay. So, continuing with resolution to correct the PID governing document to include an initial area of 30 acres and also non-technical cleanup of the language.
Technical, non-substantive.
Technical, non-substantial cleanup of the language in the PID governing document.
Thank you. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second that.
Thank you. All right, I'm going to turn for questions or comments, but I have a question. In this creation document, I don't see anywhere where it says there won't be a for sale residential product that could ever go in any of this area. It's what's been represented, but I don't see that documented anywhere.
No,
And as soon as this PID vote is taken, if it passes, it's completely out of our hands forever.
yes, but the PID also is not allowed to levy a property
It's not
tax.
property tax.
And so the PID's only allowed to collect on HTRZ, on, possibly on the CRA. I'd have to check with Brian and how.
I just want to make sure that's
committed.
clean because
And-
I don't
Well, yeah.
fully understand that and I don't
Yeah.
see it here, so I just want to
since
know.
it cannot collect property tax, and
One
it can only
matter.
collect on the HRZ, CRA, and if they do a TUF or other non-property tax levy, i.e. sales tax, then in that case, I mean, they wouldn't be collecting on residential anyway, unless, of course, those residential areas are selling things, if there was a home lock, but that'd be sales again.
The CRA will actually run out before the HTRZ,
Yeah,
so it
so-
wouldn't continue on, but it could take
In
from
the
that
short term.
area.
Yeah.
It could conclude that into
So,
the boundary.
so what we've been cautious about before and in the special assessment area we did prior with the Daybreak development to fund infrastructure, similar to this, what we always excluded was, and I'm looking to Sunil, correct me if I say something off, but what we've always excluded is any property tax difference payable by homeowners throughout the life of the bond. We required that to be paid off either at time of building permit in the case of
Right.
that. in this case, since there will be no property tax, that is not something that could happen under this PID.
Okay.
So you won't have a
As I
homeowner
read
that's
through the
doing-
agreement, I felt like it needed to be confirmed.
we
that
could
that's
certainly stick
Not
that-
expressed specifically.
We could put that in, but since there's no property tax, this pet entity just wouldn't be allowed to do a property tax unless they came back and under the amendment provisions in here, they amended this document to allow them to do a property tax. Then we would also put that in generally, but I saw that also, Mayor, I wasn't concerned because they can't do a property tax. And so since
I just
they
wanted
can't do that.
clarification on that.
Yeah.
So even if there's residential property for sale in the PID
Yes.
area, there would be no line item for a PID levy on their tax because
No.
there's no property tax
This PID cannot levy a
allowed
property
by
tax.
by this PID. So, you know,
We could put something in
whether or
there.
not it happens, it's not going to show up on their tax statement.
Okay. I just didn't read that in here anywhere and thought.
No, I saw that same thing, Mayor,
That was one
but-
of the, it's a very important commitment and I want to.
Yeah.
It's good to clarify that for our residents.
I think so.
I think they
Yeah.
need to know, yes.
Good question.
Okay. Anybody have any other questions or comments? No? Okay, thank you. All right, seeing none, I will ask our city recorder if she would please lead the council in a roll call vote on resolution R 2025-64.
Councilmember Shelton,
Yes.
Councilmember McGuire,
Yes.
Councilmember Harris,
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson,
Yes.
and Councilmember Zander.
Yes.
Okay. That is approved. It's approved unanimously, and it's actually kind of a big deal because that's the first one we've ever done.
Yes.
And while it looks like it's a tool that's starting to be used around the state, that's the first time we've done it. So that is approved, and congratulations. And yeah, thanks for all the work you're doing. We appreciate it. Thank you. All right, let's go back to our tabled item real quick. And, I mean, except, just hang on one second. The next one is a no vote. I hate to keep the guests here all night if they don't have to be. So we're gonna come back to that really quick. We are gonna move forward really quick and then we'll come back to our tabled. Item K, we have a PID application acknowledgement. There's not a vote taken on this. But Mr. Priest will present to us item K1, review the letter of intent to create the Sojo Marketplace Public Infrastructure District to facilitate construction of the proposed Sojo Marketplace development. We'll turn to Mr. Priest, and then we'll also see if there's anything that the applicant wants to say. As we said, it's not a vote. We're just acknowledging receipt of application, and you don't have to say anything at this point if you don't want to, but.
Yeah, okay. So this one is a little different than the last one. It is all in a commercial zone, so no residential would be allowed. This one would levy, would do a mill levy, I believe, up to 5 mills to collect over 30 years, about $5 million in proceeds. As I said, so there wouldn't, the concerns about the residential would not apply to this one. We did actually amend our PID policy to separate commercial from residential so that we can use this as a tool to help incentivize commercial development. And so the one thing that I believe that is good about the PIDs for the developers is that it does not encumber the land in any way. So the risk holders are the risk takers are the bond holders in this case. So they're not guaranteed in any of these that they will be paid back. That's the risk they take. That's why there's some higher interest rates and some of that. And so, whereas in the previous one, they would be securing that bonding with the HTRZ funds, which is more guaranteed source. So anyway, the committee did review this. We've spent a lot of time over the last little while with Mr. Gus moving to understand This was actually the first application we had, and he was a little bit of a trailblazer. But we were able to come to an understanding with what it is that they are requesting and believe that it meets our policy. The area, it touches the previous PID, which was kind of down in here, but it does not overlap, so there's no, and it's this area right here. There's, yeah, right there. And so it's roughly 17 acres. So anyway, just for information, and we will come back with a document similar to the one you just approved with all of the very specific details and what's allowed and what isn't allowed and who will be the board and those kinds of things. So if you have any questions at this point, happy to answer those. No public hearing tonight.
We're not making decisions on anything tonight.
Mayor, council, so you know, due to scheduling, this will be the second meeting in January that
Yes.
we expect it to come back, not, obviously, there's no other
19th,
meetings
I think.
December, not the first meeting because of swearing in and all that you have going on that meeting, so.
Yeah. So if there's no questions, well, thank you.
Thank you.
I don't know if
Do you guys have anything you wanted to say?
I really don't. I think Brian did a great job in explaining that tonight. And ours will be all commercial development. And the one thing, the question to ask is, whenever we do these leases and these PIDs are involved, they're always disclosed in the leases with the tenants. And they do them in Texas, they do them in Denver, they do them all over the United States, but mainly in commercial, not so much residential, but they're always fully disclosed in the leases.
Perfect.
And they're used to it, so they know what's coming.
Yeah, good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
I just have a comment.
Yeah, go ahead.
I, for one, love the name, Sojo Marketplace.
Pardon?
I love the name that you have posed, Sojo Marketplace. I think that's,
Yeah, we're
really
excited about it too.
Yeah, so
And we
nice.
think the new logo looks great and we're excited about it. Thank you.
Okay, there isn't anything else we have to do on that, right? That's the whole process of that. Okay, thank you. All right, let's go back to the item that we tabled before, which is Resolution R 2025 -57, a development agreement on South Jordan Gateway for the Horizon Development land use.
I think maybe the best way is to draw out this, on this. This is the blankest slate we've got, so.
Please, go
Thank
ahead.
you for doing that
Yeah.
for us. Appreciate it. Sorry, I was ill-prepared with
No,
that
no, no, you're
information
fine.
today.
You're
But
totally fine.
So first, I misspoke on our front load units. All right, so these are 26-foot wide units, which have 20 by 20 garages. In construction, we measure outside to outside. So the inside is more like the 19 by 19. Okay, so the front load units are the 19 by 19. Our other units are narrower. They're a 20-foot wide unit. So again, we're into that 19-foot width of garage, but the depth. So slides are going. Oops. We're gonna get there. Okay, so I'll just show you, as long as we're here. These are the ones I was just telling you. These are the two-story with the walkout basements. This is our front load. Front door and garage are on the same side. These ones have the 19 by 19. And we can talk about that in a moment. And then these, so as modeled here, this actually shows the single-car garage. This is how we've built it before. We've built it up in Ogden. We've changed this plan. We widened it a little bit. We put a two-car garage on it, and this is what I was just talking about. These units are, let's see if I can you guys see that? 35, 25, 19, that's probably about 8. And I say that 25 feet on the one side, so it's actually, it's a very large garage, it's very spacious. On the one side, you have the staircase coming up. So as you come in, the roof is coming down, right? So the narrow units have actually quite a bit larger garage than the front load units. Now, in working with the council, if we need to adjust our design on our front loads, I guess we want to discuss that with you tonight, and we're requesting approval of 19 by 19, and what that does is it allows us to have more living space in the townhome. I can make the garage deeper. It takes away basement and it takes away main floor. And I do understand parking is a big concern. But I would say if it came to me and said, why do you approve this parking? I would say it allowed me to create 4 more homes for families. I didn't have to take out units to add parking. And that's a tough balance, and I get it. And your job is way harder than mine. So thank you for what you do. And you're always smiling. You're so easy to talk to, Tamara. Okay, looking over. So does that make sense? So let me know, I guess, what you would like us to do on the front load units, and we'll work with you on that, and we can adjust the development agreement. I just want to make sure that what the development agreement says, we'll make sure that all of our units comply with what it says.
Go ahead. Could you go back to that front load picture, please? Thank you for this, by the way. This is great information. Okay, so that's your front load unit. And because the garage and the front door are all...
The writing on there is fine, don't worry about it.
Yeah, because the garage and the front door are both there, that garage is taking up a tremendous amount of the living space. I get that, what you're saying. And that garage will be 19 by 19.
Correct.
With no
That's
tandem
how we
space.
currently have it designed.
Right.
Yes.
I would like, your partner back here.
Jared, yes.
Mentioned that you could have it in your disclosures.
Mhm.
This is a smaller space. I think it would be wise. This shows a driveway, but you won't have driveways.
Yeah, this is also a product we've built before in Eagle Mountain, a very successful project and done in just the last couple of years. So the rendering you're seeing here, we're actually not even using this color scheme. We're using these more current color schemes on these. So this doesn't show the driveway. We have a couple of units, I think 2 units that kind of have a longer driveway and a little space, but otherwise, no, it is very, very short driveways.
I like the idea of just requesting that, putting in there that just in your disclosure,
Mhm.
your fire disclosure.
Yeah.
Which people read and some people don't read, but it's there, right? It is there that this is a smaller than average 2-car garage.
We actually sit,
standard or
we,
whatever.
we, with our buyers, we go through them together.
That's great.
Yeah.
Could you go back to the plat map, please?
Yes. I think it's this direction. Yeah.
Oh, one, yeah, right here. Okay, so again, units 16 through 19, 20 through 24, and then 1 through 11 will all be front load.
Those are the rear loads. Those are the narrower units with the bigger garage.
So
where are
they'll
the
have the
front
tandems.
loads?
Yeah,
Okay, so which ones are the front loads?
So wider ones.
The wider
Oh,
ones.
okay.
Here.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the front loads have the smallest garage, and the rear loads have the larger garage, but they have smaller.
But they're a narrower
space.
unit.
Yeah,
Yes.
Gives people choices.
yep, it does.
Variety. Right.
Is it possible, I don't know who on our team, Brad Clavino, you're the smart numbers guy. Is it possible to park 2 cars in a 19 by 19 with the size of the garbage cans that we have in South Jordan?
Probably not if the garbage cans are in there, but if you don't have the garbage cans on the sides, I would think it'd be tight, but you could get 2 cars in there. Not
With
trucks.
no garbage cans.
Yeah, I doubt with those garbage cans, you could,
So each of our units in I'm just clarifying. Each of our units, every home in Utah, in South Jordan is required to have recycle and waste, right? So we have 2 cans at every home. Can you tell us, Ray, what's the dimensions of 2 cans side by side? Like I know there's some places in Daybreak where, my house in particular, we've built a little space off the side of my driveway where I house my garbage cans because my garage, I'm being really honest, doesn't fit 2 cars and my 2 garbage cans. So I'm thinking if 19 by 19 absolutely won't fit 2 garbage cans, do you know what those dimensions are? Like 6 feet by 4? I don't know. 10 by 4?
Yeah, maybe more like a 3 by 3. They're 96
We
gallon
have 2,
cans.
but we have
But then you
2.
have 2,
Yeah.
correct.
So what does that mean?
6 by 3.
Yeah,
You think 6 by 3 could fit 2 cans?
Something like that.
Jason
yeah,
thinks yes.
pretty close.
Yes? So I forgot your name.
It's Randy Smith.
Do you hear where I'm going with this? We're gonna have residents move in there that are gonna sign your seller disclosure because they're so excited to get a house. And they're gonna be so excited to afford their first home. And they're gonna be giddy. I've worked with lots of them. And they're not gonna think through or be aware that they've got 2 garbage cans that South Jordan is gonna issue to them. And now 1 car won't fit, and now we're gonna have people on the side of the road and clear out over here, and there'll be this overflow problem potentially, because most homes have 2 cars or more.
And our
Would-
code doesn't allow for the garbage cans to be sitting in the front of the
Right, right. So, and there's no space for an enclosed anything for a car. How, I know you said it encroach on living space, but these are your wider units. You heard the space, how much do we need? 6 by 3, 7 by 4? Is there a spot you could make your garage 4 feet deeper, 6 feet wide, and not provide this huge 8-foot tandem that you have on the other one, but could you do a little pop out?
A place for the trash
2
cans.
garbage cans.
And then the garage freezer right next to that, right?
Well, that's their problem.
Right.
But yes, like a big chest freezer. So if they have 1 car, they can put a freezer and they can do things. But I'm just saying, we do have a real issue, and it's 2 cars and 2 garbage cans.
So, yes, I think that we can. If that's what it, if this was the council wants to approve this project, we can find a way to carve that in there and see how that could work.
That's 13 units that would need that.
I don't know if this makes any difference or not, but it won't be our garbage cans that they're picking up. These will be private.
Oh.
We won't be sending our garbage trucks into there, as far as I know.
So will
That's
they be
correct.
required
The
to still have
development
2?
agreement says private garbage collection, so I don't know how they're gonna handle the garbage. I guess that's a good question.
Would they be required to have the recycle and the regular?
Not if it's private.
There's no place for a dumpster on the plat, Jason.
Yeah, so.
Yeah.
We have not.
Maybe help us understand.
We haven't solved the trash thing. That was a staff request that it's not city trash, and so we agree to that and we will solve it, but we haven't yet. I don't know what that service looks like.
Why not city trash? Because the road's more narrow than a standard width?
Perhaps, that's a staff question.
Why did we decide that, staff?
A lot of times our hauler would prefer not to go down those roads because they have to
'Cause it's a
back
narrow
in
road.
and then back out, and the hazards that are with that.
The dead end factor.
There's no cul-de-sacs on these things for.
Yeah, it's a hammerhead turnaround instead of a
Yeah.
cul-de-sac. Yeah.
So are there smaller private garbage collectors, smaller than the trucks we use in our city?
Sorry, I thought he was clicking his mic. So it depends on who they would hire for this service. A lot of times it is a community dumpster that are enclosed that people take their trash to, but I'm not sure how this will
So,
work out.
thank you, Mr. Garrison. So to clarify then, this development potentially wouldn't have 2 garbage cans because it's private. But we as a city would not require 2 cans because we would not require recycle in this private area.
Are people gonna come back to the city and say, we pay property taxes for garbage and we don't wanna pay for private garbage? You should be providing our garbage. I'm just
That-
wondering.
No,
Is that- yeah.
our sanitation is self-funded in the enterprise fund, so there's no property taxes going towards it.
So there'll be no fee for.
Yeah,
for
so
sanitation.
there's an area of the city that I'm aware of that's kind of similar in nature to this, that small roads, private, and our hauler said we won't go down there. And so the HOA arranged to have a different waste company come pick up, but all the residents had to pull it out to a major road. So some of them are pulling it out 200 feet plus from where they live. And so however, whatever is decided with garbage pickup here will be between whether developer or HOA and what's feasible with what a garbage hauling company can provide. So the fact that that's not identified, like that still needs to be figured out.
So they could potentially have one can per household.
Yeah, it just depends on what's
Whatever they decide.
chosen
They do a
for them.
dumpster.
However,
This,
it
the
gets
similar
decided,
area
I just don't want
that,
it to be decided in a way that's gonna come back, and once the development is done, it does become the city's problem, and we hear from people all the time. And so, we just wanna make sure that it gets solved in a way that's long-term sustainable, people, you know what I mean?
Just,
Go ahead.
just my thoughts are, I mean, I don't want a 19 by 19 car garage and allow garbage cans, you know, whether it's even though it's not ours, you know, because we still have to contemplate these people can park. And so I think if we're gonna do a 19 by 19, I think we almost have to mandate that there's gonna be a dumpster that people, you know, every time they have a garbage sack, they walk out to the dumpster and throw it in there. First place I lived in was a condo, and that's how it was, you know, and I never, you know, I didn't collect my garbage, and once the garbage sack was full, I took it out to the dumpster. I think has to be one of those things. Otherwise, you're gonna have to, in my opinion, you know, maybe widen the garage, you know, or make it bigger, or take out some units, whatever you gotta do to figure it out, so there's more adequate garage space.
If it was 19 by 22, does that make you comfortable? Increase the depth on those garages?
I'll leave that to staff. I mean,
I think 2 feet wouldn't do it, but 3 might. Like those cans are about 3 feet, right?
Yeah, 19 to 22, that's
That's
3 additional
Oh,
feet.
you're right. Okay, it's late. Past my bedtime. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's only 2 feet. Sorry, it's 3.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. Pretend I didn't say that again.
So I just have one question. Do these things get figured out before the MDA is signed, or are we like saying we're gonna vote on this even though garbage still isn't figured out and a few things like that actually does have an impact potentially for the city?
Site plan still has to go through. We have to figure a lot of those issues. But, you know, it's usually better if we can figure them out here.
Right. But
Right.
there's opportunity for refinement of things like that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
To-
This isn't the end, so there's still time.
Site plan will go
We
to the
don't wanna
planning commission.
dictate, it has
Right.
to be this, it has to be this. We're just trying to be real.
Yeah, just that it works.
Garbage cans, it works, right? Yeah, you can fit your car and a garbage can,
Yeah.
right? Or whatever. Yeah, or a dumpster or whatever the model is. But this is a unique model. We don't do very many private roads that are narrow. We don't do very many that are off from standard. We don't. And so it brings up additional questions that we don't usually ask, you know? So, okay,
No, you're being very thorough. It's good.
yeah, thank you.
Well, on this issue, when they figure out the plan, they still have an opportunity to come back to us, do they not? If it doesn't conform
We still
with-
submit site plan submittals, like preliminary and final plat, and go through all the staff reviews, and, yeah.
So it can be worked out through the process. I mean, I don't think this is an issue that's big enough that we stop him from proceeding with his financing.
I don't think so. either.
Agreed.
Yeah, I don't think so either. But they are things that we want to make sure are right before.
I think
we
he
go in.
knows.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
we've,
Yeah.
it's this, I'm a
I
civil
know.
engineer
You
by
guys have
trade,
built
like,
a lot, and we have a very seasoned council here. We've been doing this for a while, and we've done a lot of these. So that's maybe why we're so thorough, because we've seen and heard just about everything. And so we just want to make sure that, since this is a little different than the kind of things that we often see, even though there's no cookie cutter for what we see.
right.
But the more narrow private roads, that is different. We just want to, and no driveway, you know, these questions are questions that people have come back and had a lot of questions about. So we just want to make sure those things are right.
For sure.
Yeah. Anyone have any other questions or comments? Go ahead.
Just comment, would it be appropriate when we make this motion to, you know, if we approved it, subject to working with staff to adequately address, you know, the storage of any garbage cans, and that the size was reflective of that? Is that reasonable to make that kind of motion?
Well, I think he offered a 22-foot garage. Maybe we just change it to 19 by 22 and
That's a pretty clean way in the development agreement, and
so.
we can work that out.
Well, then, and if he does decide to go with the garbage dumpsters, he can at that time come back to us or make an amendment on that if he decides that he wants the larger units instead. Even though we make that.
Madam, I'm ready to make my motion.
May I ask a clarifying question?
Yep, go ahead.
Just on the parking, on the garage, you're saying 19, was that the outside or the inside?
Inside.
That's the inside.
Okay, that was the inside, okay, thank you.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll make a motion here.
It's on I-4.
Right here, okay. We approve resolution R 2025-57. And with, on the rear load units, that the sizes are, as was discussed in this meeting, that was outlined, and hopefully we should have a record of that, right? That was drawn, we still have that record?
To make it easier, since those rear loads were 19 by minimum 25 and then longer 35 because of that shape. But if you say minimum 19 by 22, that'll encompass rear load and front load.
Yeah, but I really like, I understand we could do that, but I really like what we just agreed to on those rear loads on the size. That
Yeah,
was
that's
discussed.
fine. So rear load, what we'll do, what I think what we need to do is just get a diagram of each, because we have over here in the other section,
Yeah.
shown on the concept plan. The concept plan doesn't actually show garage layouts. We'll just show the garage layouts.
Okay.
Minimum shown of what they showed here, which.
What they showed here,
and the
and
other
then
one.
on the front loads that we're approving at 19 by 22, and anything that's different than that, you need to come back before the council.
So on one clarifying question on that, on the rear load, if a home buyer opted, instead of having 35 feet of depth, but to put a bonus room down there, is the council opposed to that? Like the 19 by 22 would allow that to happen, but if I draw it out specifically to 19 by 35.
Actually, we're voting here, and also we have a brand new thing getting added right now.
So, well, I'm just asking.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't like how this is
like,
changing.
So,
I'll just tell you.
so I apologize. I mean, like, typically when we work with a development agreement, we try to set a minimum standard and then as opposed to a unit-specific standard. But I'll leave that, I guess, to you guys to determine.
I appreciate that we're all, you could really listen into this meeting and be like, unbelievable. These guys spend a half an hour talking about garages, but it's important because we don't want our roads and our streets and our city to.
More than a half hour.
Because we've spent
probably an hour.
lots of hours talking about garages and parking and driveways and streets, you know?
Agree, but I would be comfortable personally if you said 19 by 22 is the minimum. I do like people to be able to make choices, and I'm not a fan of government overreach. Our job is to preserve and protect the integrity of our city. So if a buyer comes in and says, you know what, I want to make a bonus room, I would hate to handcuff you and not let you do that. But you would have to provide the minimum garage space. I personally would be comfortable with that if the rest of the council
Then
is.
what you need to do is either ask Patrick if that's a friendly amendment to his motion or make a substitute motion, because we have a motion on the table.
Patrick, what would you like me to do? A substitute motion, or would you like to amend yours?
So I guess I just need clarification. I mean, is that part of what you're selling though? Is just like, hey, you choose between the garage or bonus or an extra room? Is that what you're planning on, how you're advertising these things? Is this the first I'm hearing of this?
I guess we don't have a plan. We don't have a room built down there.
Yeah.
That's the thing, like, we're only at zoning.
Yeah.
We haven't done any construction documents. We haven't done, so typically those types of things and options come further down the line for us. So I'm speaking to other projects that we've done in the past, specifically this unit where it was slightly narrow and the tandem. Sometimes people, there was a room in the basement there, and sometimes buyers would option in a structural change to say, oh, we want that room to be a little bit bigger, or this or that, just flexibility. So it's not like a built offering, but sometimes buyers ask for it. Does that make sense?
you know,
Also, though, to be clear, this is a zoning and a development agreement. So this is two different things, and this is the conversation to have here with us.
Yeah.
For a master development agreement, right? For development agreement to
It,
this.
yes, it is.
So I don't think this conversation is out of line for what
No,
this
no, it's,
is.
no,
This
not
isn't
at
just
all.
zoning. We're not just
Hopefully you
talking
didn't feel like I was saying that.
We're not- Yeah, but I just mean, this isn't just zoning application. We're
Right.
not premature in going down this road, because it is also the development agreement, and we just want to make sure those kind of things.
No,
that have
yeah,
been
you're in
problems
line.
the past are
I didn't mean, when I said just zoning, that was a point to me, not to the city, in Fieldstone and how we operate and how we go through with, you know, getting our construction documents, our site plan approvals, all the things, the full vesting before we're down that lane. So sorry. Yeah, misunderstanding.
where my mind's going, you know, I'm not worried about the individual home and just, I am thinking about the aggregate parking, you know, that's gonna be in this community, and if we have too many of the, you know, the more garage space we have in the entire community, you know, the better the parking situation is gonna be. And so that's where my mind's gone. I'm not worried about the individual person, you know, choosing that, but we have had people come in here just absolutely upset with what we've done, you know, or prior councils have done on parking, on have
things
inadequate
like this.
parking. And asking, you know, why did you do this, or what can you do to help? And, you know, just like it's been bad. And so we've learned from that.
Yeah.
So that's why, you know, I'm hesitant to go in there and say, okay, if we do this, because I think we need as much parking out here as possible. So I'm gonna pull my motion. If someone else wants to make a motion, they're welcome to.
Okay, I'll give a stab at this. Like to make a motion on Resolution R 2025-57, authorizing the mayor to sign a development agreement as stated, with the addition that the minimum size of the garage will be 19 by 22 feet in all the units.
Okay, we have a motion on the table. Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
Thank you. Do we have any other discussion to this? Questions, comments? Go ahead.
I just asked ChatGPT.
Oh, no.
I'm just saying, smart little resource. You're gonna love this, Mr. like millennial right there. It did say, my kids are about your age, so I'm just smiling.
You're making assumptions.
Usually, it says, will a 19 by 22 garage be sufficient for an average Utah person? It says usually yes, but it's tight. You can park 2 cars. You may have to have limited storage on the sides, but it would have a little extended. 20 by 20 is what it says is the average minimum. So by going 19 by 22, we're a little bit more narrow, a little bit longer. I can be comfortable with that.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? Okay, seeing none, Mrs. Crookston, would you please lead the council in a roll call vote?
Councilmember Johnson,
Yes.
Councilmember Shelton,
Yes.
Councilmember Harris,
Yes.
Councilmember Zander,
Yes.
Councilmember McGuire.
No.
Okay, thank you. That passes with a vote of 4-1. And now we have zoning ordinance 2025-08-Z, rezoning property, the same property, generally located at 10378 South Jordan Gateway in the city of South Jordan, from CF Commercial Freeway Zone to RM Residential Multiple Zone and PD Plan Development Floating Zone. Did you have anything else you needed to I think we've gone over all of it, right? Okay. Okay. If you have anything else to add, but I think we've exhausted the discussion, thought of more than anybody even expected. So, okay, with that, is there a motion on zoning ordinance 2025-08-Z?
Madam Mayor, I'll move to approve zoning ordinance 2025-08-Z.
Thank you. We have a motion by Mrs. Zander. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Johnson. Any additional discussion to this?
Mayor, I'll just make a comment, just that I'm willing to pass the zoning ordinance since the rest of the council approved the previous resolution that's tied to this project.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? All right, would you please lead the council in a roll call vote?
Councilmember Zander,
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson,
Yes.
Councilmember Harris,
Yes.
Councilmember Shelton,
Yes.
and Councilmember McGuire.
Yes.
All right, congratulations. I hope you can get your documentation all taken care of by the 15th or whatever, your deadlines are. And
Thank you so much.
yeah, thank you. Thank you for working with us.
Thanks for getting the
Yeah,
details.
appreciate it.
to these sometimes. You guys come to them all the time.
Well, we do, and when you mentioned, this is a little aside, but when you mentioned that's our problem, not yours, and I said, until it's built, and then it is our problem forevermore, and it is, sometimes it is. So those are the kind of things, based on a collective of a lot of experience, that we've dealt with a lot, and so that's the reason for all the questions,
Keep them coming.
So, yeah, thank you.
No, we appreciate it very much. And
appreciate
thank you
it.
for working
Hey.
with us and
Yeah.
tabling for a minute.
It's good, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate your thorough, thank you. All right. All right, we jump back to item L, staff reports and calendaring items. We are just a few minutes past the expected time with this. Please.
And I will keep this very short. You're all aware of many items on your calendars. Those calendar invites have been sent to your calendars. Those have been noticed as potential social events for you this month. If you see something in your calendar and you have any questions, please reach out to myself or Melanie, and we will give you as many details as we can about those events. So let us know on that. Otherwise, the last thing that I have tonight is behind you. You will see that there are some gifts. Ironically enough, we had some resolutions about wildfire tonight. To help you be prepared for any type of fire, you will see that we got you some things. Ironically enough, those were purchased many months ago before we knew what the agenda was going to be.
That is interesting.
So that's just a bit of irony, I guess. But on behalf of all the employees, we want to wish the council and the mayor a very Merry Christmas, and hope that you guys have a great holiday season. And that's all I have for you tonight. Just be sure to take those gifts home with you.
Thank you. We appreciate all of you. We didn't do our reports, which is fine, but I don't want to miss out on the opportunity to recognize Teresa and her team from HR. So I got a text from Mike Haynes, who's the executive director of the Jordan Education Foundation. It was a picture of Teresa and her team, and they were at the foundation offices turning in a donation of a bunch of weekend kits that they just decided to put together for students for our schools through the foundation. That's who distributes them. And you'd be amazed right now at how many of those we're going through. A lot.
So is that clothing or food?
That's food. Weekend Packs is food for kids
Nice.
who need additional resources and have some food insecurity. And, this was during the time when the government shutdown was happening, and not only were SNAP benefits not happening, but anyone who works for the federal government, they weren't getting paid. It's hard, right? And we saw an increase of need in addition to the need that is constant. And you know what? They're just quiet, unsung heroes who decided amongst themselves that this is what they wanted to do, and they did, and they showed up and turned those in. And Mike sent me the cutest picture and said, "Okay, huge shout out. South Jordan HR is amazing. And it was so appreciated and needed." And knowing that effort makes sure that kids in our community have food over the weekend, it's something a lot of people think isn't a problem here. It's a problem everywhere, and it exists everywhere. Thank you for that. Please thank your team for that. Yeah, thanks. Okay, I don't have anything else, so unless there is anything, I am going to ask for a motion. Yes.
Sorry. I'll take 30
go ahead.
seconds. Take your amaryllis home, add a little bit of water. I haven't fed any of them water, they're very thirsty. Only put in about a centimeter, because if you drown it, they'll die. So put a little water in, enjoy those. Merry Christmas, we all love you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Mayor, just to add on to that, since Tamara's, feeding the plants, I have treats for everyone that you don't have to give your plants, so please stick around.
I haven't even made our Christmas card for our family yet. I was thinking, why is this meeting so early? How is it already our meeting? I got nothing. So, yeah, anyway, sorry, not yet. I have absolutely nothing yet. Thank you so much. I will ask for a motion to adjourn this meeting and move us back into executive closed session for the discussion of the character and competency of an individual. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we'll give the motion to Mrs. Johnson and the second to Mrs. Zander. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, we are adjourned. Thank you all so much.